Okay, hello and welcome everyone to today's event. I'm Jason Gumpert from MSDWworld.com, and today's session is a solution showcase about Dynamics NAV and Dynamics 365 Business Central. We have a really busy and hopefully fun hour with 5 different people presenting, so it'll be fast-paced and a lot of material to discover and learn about, and hopefully get you a chance to ask some questions about as well. We have presenters from the 5 companies that you see on the screen right now, and in just a moment we are going to kick off with Chris Minelli and Colin Ford from Columbus, followed by Aaron Rasmussen from Lucy, Don Ramsey from Binary Stream, David Deibert from Serenic Software, and Amir Abbasi from Solver. Each of our presenters is going to have 10 minutes today to give you an introduction, and while they are presenting, we encourage you to think of some questions, to write them down, to enter them into the Q&A block that you should see just to the right of the main presentation area here. Enter those at any point, and we will be leaving a few minutes at the end to get your questions answered. So without too much further delay, I think we are ready to begin, and I'm going to now hand off control to our first presenter, and presenters, and that is Chris and Colin from Columbus. So Chris, I'm going to give you control.
So thank you and good morning. So yes, we are Colin Ford and Chris Minelli, and we work with Columbus, a Microsoft partner that's been providing NAV solutions for close to 30 years. One of the ways that we've been so successful in our solutions, though, is that we only focus on just a few industries. And the largest industry that we focus on by far is the food and process manufacturing space. So one of the main issues that we see from our clients and visiting with prospects and everyone that continues to be a hot topic is recall management. Asking the questions of how do you make the recall process easier and how can you prevent one from happening. So this morning what we're going to do is just show you a few areas where Columbus's food software modules that we've developed over the years can help you manage a recall. So Chris?
Thanks, Colin. Again, my name is Chris Minelli. Thanks for having me here today. So with the end in mind, I'll be showing you the NAV functionality, which is enhanced by Columbus Global, as it relates to that very important food topic, either a mock or a real recall. And recalls, as you know, can be either forwards or backwards, starting at a raw ingredient or at a finished good. And we know that if a recall occurs, the regulatory agencies will ask questions like, where is the contaminated product? Who are the customers who bought the product, and how much of the affected product has been produced. So what I'm going to do today is start with Columbus's lot history page. And so this page here is showing us items and lots. So if I take a look and just group them together, we can see that all of these are the same item with an individual lot. What I also want you to take a notice is that with Columbus, we have the ability to do both catch weight alternate units of measure if we need to. But the item lot history is maintained regardless of the fact whether there's a quantity on hand or not. So we're always keeping that lot history. So let's answer that first regulatory question. Who are the customers who bought the product? So I'll park on this finished good item. I can see that my quantity's been depleted. And what I'll simply do is hit Navigate Item Tracing. And with that one click, I'm able to take a look at that item and lot and find exactly where that shipment went to. Here's the sales shipment, the highest level that we can get into. And again, with one more click, I can actually see the document that it relates to. This is the sales shipment that occurred. So who did I sell it to? When did I sell it? And not only that, I can also see the other items that were part of that. So if the contamination had spread, I can see the other items involved. Here are the other items that are involved with this. What I can also do now is expand this list. By expanding it, I get to see the entire flow, forwards, backwards, backwards, forwards for lot tracking. What I want to do next is answer that other question, where is the contaminated product? If I take a look here again and start to work my way down the list, I make it down to this one purchase receipt. This purchase receipt is for the raw ingredient on the lowest level. I can also see where it's located, which location is in our system, and I can see the quantity that we remain and have here. So where is the contaminated product? I can see all of the places that contaminated product made it to. So the next one that I'd like to do is how much of the affected product has been produced. Simply switching the view from top down, from the finished good down, I'm now looking at the raw material item and lot. And from here, I have a purchase receipt header, the same one we were parked on before. I can see the location, the quantity that I purchased, a single click, and now I'm into the actual purchase order itself. In this particular case, I can see where I bought it from, the dates that I bought it, and also the other items that were involved in that purchase as far as the receipt goes. As I make my way down, it's important to know that because of lot tracking, we're able to see transfers. So if I'm moving the product around from location to location, here's the shipment of 10,000 pounds of that product as it makes its way to the main location from the Providence location. And now it's part of the production here as well. So how much of the affected product has been produced? If I click on this one particular production order here, again, now I'm into the finished production order itself, lines, components, and now I can see that item, where it was consumed, and other items that were part of it as far as the production run for that particular day. One other point to note on here, because I'm looking at the lower level, I can take the sales shipment here and the sales shipment here, and I can see where that item, the raw material item, as it's made its way through to the finished good, and then the individual sales shipments that it occurs to. And both of these examples that I'm highlighting, they are actually two different finished good items, so I can see the shipment. Again, where was it sold? And then here, for example, I can also see where is it actually located now. These are finished good items that are in my main location. So I'd like to back out one and just talk a little bit more about also recall management that we have. So with Columbus, we have the ability, once we've identified an item in a lot, to be able to put it on a lot status code. So what this allows me to do is create as many of these codes as I'd like, and then control what can happen. So in this particular case, I wanted to put this item in lot on a hold so that it wouldn't be sold. So by choosing the recall hold, I'm identifying what functionality is it available for sales, for purchase, for example, or for consumption. And I've marked those as no. So that item in lot, not the item in lot is not available for sale. Also, what I'd like to show here is part of that recall management, quality control. Columbus has the ability to handle quality control on the item lot level. So every item that is lot tracked, I'm able to set up a test code, as many test codes as I'd like. I get to define on that test code what type of code is it. Is it a lookup, Boolean, numeric, or other texts or dates? And then what I do is I set them up to have target values. And if I should not hit my target value, in this particular example, metal detector, I didn't hit it, I can fail it, and I can have control that way as well. That's important because Columbus also has the ability to do lot preferences. So on a bill of material or at a customer lot preference, these can be defined by lot aging, lot specifications, and filters, as well as specific lot freshness values for customers. And this can help mitigate the need for a recall to begin with because you can control the quality of the product that you're putting into the production or shipping to your customer. So to quickly wrap this up, with NAV and Columbus, we're able to perform full forward and backward lot tracing, quickly answer the 3 key recall questions, and we also look at functionality and manage a recall and even avoid one perhaps in the first place. Colin?
Thanks, Chris. So recall management is really just one example of how Columbus can help food and process manufacturers operate more efficiently. Our food software modules combined with our industry expertise have helped many food manufacturers here in North America and quite frankly across the globe with other items such as recipe management, advanced warehousing, production planning, and a lot of other areas. So if this is something that interests you, we would encourage you to visit us at columbusglobal.com/food or feel free to email me directly at cfo@columbusglobal.com. So thanks so much for your time.
All right, very good. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Chris. One other, and I'm just going to move control now to our next presenter, Aaron Rasmussen of Lucy. And just one other note as I change over, we will be putting more contact information up at the end of the session. So don't worry if you miss anyone's contact during the session, we'll definitely show that. And if you reach out to us, we can obviously put you in touch too. So Aaron, you should now have control, and the floor is yours.
Jason, so is that coming through okay?
It is.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me today. My name's Aaron. I'm from the team at Lucy, and what I hope to do today is tell you a little bit of a story about why Lucy exists, and then we'll do a little bit of a demo in Lucy. So I think I should start with a bit of an apology, because my story today, the easiest way to tell it is with pictures, and I can't actually draw very well. So here we go. So what I've got here is your customer, and what we've seen out there is generally your customer will want to buy some products from you, and they might be out there on the shop floor. They might be running some kind of replenishment report with min-maxes, and they'll use that information and pull it through to their system. It might be an accounting system or an ERP of some description. And once they've got that information, they will pop out the other side with some kind of purchase order. And if you're lucky enough to have an e-commerce website, they might jump on there and order the products through your site, and your website will integrate to your NAV, which then allows the rest of the process to kick in. So people in the warehouse can go and collect the goods, grab those items, put them on the truck, and they're out to your customer. Really good, right? Nice and simple. I need products, put them in a system, out to the warehouse, and the goods are shipped. And that's good if they do use your website to order those goods. And one of the things that we've seen over years in e-commerce is it works really, really well when they're willing to do that. But you'll find yourself with a bunch of customers who take those purchase orders, those PDF purchase orders, and think, you know what, I've got my purchase order, I know what I want to send it to my supplier, but I don't want to have to do it twice. I've already built the list of my demand, why should I have to use their website to punch it in? So something like this will happen. They'll take that purchase order, that's a PDF, and email it through to you, some sales inbox that you guys have, and you'll end up with something like this. A team of customer service reps punching in orders to get that order into NAV so you can get the goods out the door. So I guess that's what we were seeing in our e-commerce customers, and we sort of looked at the problem and thought, well, you know, there has to be a way that we can look at automating this. AI is getting much better, so we came up with Lucy. So in a nutshell, what Lucy does is she looks at an inbox for PDF purchase orders coming in and grabs the important information from those orders. Things like a purchase order number, some kind of product identifier, pricing and quantities. And then if she finds any problems with that, she'll have a bit of a conversation with NAV to see if the customer has the right price, do the product codes match what you've got in your system. And if everything's all good, the order will flow through and your normal process will kick in. Either it'll go to the warehouse or perhaps there's a credit problem that needs to be taken care of, but all of that happens within NAV. If there are problems, she does send you an email just to let you know that, hey, I've found an issue with this. You can jump in and make corrections, or she can provide some recommendations as well. And once you fix up mistakes, Lucy remembers that for the future. So she's pretty clever. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually just going to dive into Lucy and show you how she works in the real world. Okay, this is Lucy. So what I've done is I've sent through a test order, so you can sort of see start to finish what it would be like to get your orders processed by Lucy for a customer when that customer has never sent anything through before. So Lucy knows nothing about them. So in this test system, I've deleted everything as far as the data is concerned. So we're starting from scratch. So I've sent through the email, Lucy saying that I've got an order from Aaron, but not seen that email address before. Can we please create a trading partner? So what this part of the process is doing is essentially mapping that email address to a customer within NAV. So I'm going to create a trading partner, and it's just a matter of searching for the customer. So that just brings back a list of customers from NAV. Select the one that's there. Lucy will pre-populate the rest of the info. You can decide if you want all the emails from that domain to go to this particular customer or just that one person. And then we hit save. So what Lucy's doing now is basically looking through to see if there's any other emails from that email address and see if we've got any information about that particular customer. And as I said before, I've cleaned out all the information. So what I'm expecting to happen now is Lucy to ask me to create a map. So the mapping process is something that happens once when you first send an order through for a customer. Once it's done, you don't have to do it again for them. So it's just about giving Lucy a general idea of where the important information is for this order. Things like an order number, and I'll grab the delivery address while I'm here, maybe get a product code, get a quantity and a price. So there's a bunch of different fields you can use depending on the things that your customers are sending through. But for the sake of the demonstration today, those fields should do it. So that whole process is just a matter of, as you saw, clicking the field on the right that you want to map, and then just clicking and dragging the rough area of where that information is for Lucy to pick up. So what she's doing now is she's grabbing that order, she's running through, checking if everything's okay, and talking to the ERP. So we can see here that the order has gone through. So the order is now integrated. All of those lines have gone in because there were no problems. So I sent through a test order, and it's really as I expected because I knew that all the product codes were correct, all the pricing was correct, and there was nothing that should have held the order up. So Lucy would have sent an email to me basically saying that the order is complete and nothing more to do. If there are things to do, so let's just say that an order's fine in Lucy, everything goes through, but there are back orders that someone needs to action, and that information appears on the email that comes through. So what I'm going to do now is send through another order, but what's going to happen this time is I'm going to send through some broken information on purpose. So I'm just sending something through on my other computer here, another email. Okay, so Lucy's picked that up. We can see that her little message at the top has changed, so she's got another order. So I can go and view that one. So what's happened here? So it's a smaller order, but it has a couple of problems. So we can see the product code doesn't actually match what's in NAV, and the pricing doesn't match what that customer is supposed to get as their buy price. So we've got a few different options here. So when it comes to the product code, Lucy does jump into NAV and tries to find the correct product. So she uses the information on the order to try and figure out, well, what do they really mean when they try and buy that product, using the descriptors and things like that. So she's given us a list of things that it might be. So I know the product is this one here, so I just need to tell Lucy that, and she'll remember that moving forward. So if the customer orders the incorrect product code again, she'll just translate it to the one we've selected. And for the pricing, so you see that the pricing coming out of the ERP is $71.69, but the customer has put $71.94. So we can either override the price and use what the customer's given us, or we can say, well, what's in NAV is gospel, so we're going to use that. There's also some other options we've got within Lucy to allow her to kind of take control of that based on business rules. So if you've got some logic that you use when customers send through incorrect pricing, we can generally follow that and automate that as far as using your price out of the ERP if it's within a certain percentage or dollar amount, just to try and make that whole process a little bit easier. So now that I've fixed that information up, I'm going to reprocess that order, and then she's going to shoot it through and have the order to be integrated and ready to go. And that is all done. The order has integrated. So as you can see, start to finish, pretty simple process. We've got a lot of customers who are pretty hands-off. I mean, you really set up a customer once as far as the email address and the mapping is concerned, and then just kind of let Lucy do her thing. You really only need to step in when the customer has got things terribly wrong when it comes to their codes. So yeah, pretty simple process. Thank you for tuning in today to see Lucy. If you'd like to see more, if you're heading to Phoenix in a couple of weeks' time, feel free to stop by the booth. We'll be in the expo hall there at the user group, and hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. And our next presenter is going to be Don Ramsey. I'm going to pass control over to you, Don.
Okay, let me get my screen up here for you folks. All right, again, my name is Don Ramsey. I'm a solutions consultant with Binary Stream Software. And today we're going to talk a little bit about subscription billing, both for NAV and Business Central. The screenshots you will see will be NAV, but understand that the same process works pretty well exactly the same way in Business Central as well. So, having said that, if we walk through, we're going to talk a little bit about advanced recurring contract billing, and quite frankly, the contract modules in most of the Dynamics products are not very strong by themselves. They have specific purposes, and they do those specific purposes quite well. But we're talking about selling packages of items, say some hardware, maybe a maintenance contract on that hardware, some software that's going to be renewable every year. That type of thing, it's difficult to track in just a generic ERP. So we've written a program to handle that. We actually wrote it for ourselves, because we do that kind of business ourselves. We wrote it for ourselves, and our customers loved it. We also are going to talk just very briefly about our advanced revenue and expense deferrals, because it ties together with our contracts. When you sell a piece of software, or better still, a contract, a service contract that they're going to prepay you a year in advance, you're not going to claim all that revenue day one. You're going to typically claim that month by month by month. Automation is a really big help. If you can eliminate spreadsheets and managing things that way, that's huge. And finally, our multi-element revenue allocation. Now, for those of you that don't know our products already, that's a meaningless title. Basically, if you are dealing with or about to deal with the ASC 606 regulations, the GAAP regulations, or in the rest of the known world, IFRS 15, you are concerned about your contracts. You are concerned about what's on an invoice not being represented properly when it gets actually to the income statement and the balance sheet. And that's what we built into the product, so that you don't have to think about it. Once you've configured it, it's done automatically. And we'll show you that just in a few moments. So here's some of the capabilities that we have. And this all ties in. As we take a look at some of these windows, understand that anything that is ASC 606 compliant or needs to be ASC 606 compliant is happening in the background as you create the contract. Now, this is actually a NAV 2018 contract. Again, BC works much the same way. And what I want to highlight here very quickly is if you look at my billing type, I've got standard, usage, and milestones. So I can just have standard pricing, meaning the price list from the item itself in NAV. Or I can have a usage-based priced item, meaning you might buy 10 this month, 100 next month. Think of perhaps electricity or people using a certain product at a certain rate of usage. So we're going to bill you according to what you've used. Or milestone. Milestone most easily is explained by thinking of sporting events. The World Series is coming up. As each game is played, people might have certain activities that take place, and they want to recognize either the expenses or the revenue. We can track the revenue aspect of that for you. And if you look over at pricing method, the middle one, you'll notice we have various ways of pricing a single item. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You add an item, you can have a standard price. That price simply comes from NAV. You can have a flat price, which simply is you stating a certain price. You're overriding for that line item on this invoice or on this contract that standalone price. You could have tiered pricing, meaning 1 to 100 might be $1 a piece. 101 to 200 might be $1.25 a piece or 75 cents a piece, might go down the other way. You pay for each unit according to the price tier that it's in, and it all adds up to a total price. Or you can also have flat tiered pricing, meaning I think of my part of the world, internet, where I can have a certain bandwidth and I might pay $50 a month for it. I'm going to pay $50 a month whether I use it at all or I use 100% of the bandwidth. I might want to go to the next level. I might pay $75 a month for that. And again, regardless of how much I use, I'm going to pay $75. It's called flat tiered pricing. So very, very powerful combination of tools, if you will, that can be utilized on an individual contract. Now, we're looking at the contract directly in the module here. It could just be an invoice that you've set up. You could price it the same way, post that invoice, and the contract gets created for all the renewable items, on that invoice. And just a very brief look at the milestone. I have a main item here, number 770. It's $20,000. Each of the 2 items underneath will be recognized or invoiced when somebody says it's time. They'll look at the end date. You'll notice there's no end date in the far right hand. They'll pump in the end date, and now that can be either invoiced or recognized, depending if you're processing the invoice to the contract module or actually recognizing the revenue in the ARID module. And again, as you can see here, there's various ways of recognizing that: percent of completion, variable amounts, just percentage total. Whichever way works best for you, you've got lots of flexibility. Our pricing methods we talked about earlier, the standard, the flat, the tiered, the flat tiered. As you can see, by just looking at this graph here, it's very simple to set up either a pricing method for a customer, pricing methods for all customers. Some can have flat tiered, some might not. All those things are capable in a single window to give you a lot of power without a lot of manual setup and a manual management down the road. I just might get my mouse going here, sorry. Okay, we'll go to the next item. So we also have, tied in with the tiered pricing and regular pricing itself, advanced pricing options. You can have a free quantity. So let's say you've got a usage item that's going to be billed at a variable amount each and every month. Maybe it's professional services, for example. You might say, you know what, you're going to get 5 hours of professional services free every month, or every second month, or every third month, or once per contract, whatever works for you. You can also do what's very common in the legal profession. You can have a min-max, a retainer of, say, 1,000 hours a month, or 50 hours a month, or 100 hours a month, whatever works out, or $50,000 a month. Again, numbers could be anything you want. So you can have a minimum amount the client's going to pay, regardless of whether they utilize the service or not. And you could even set a maximum at the other end, not as popular, but also a maximum and the minimum, and the free quantity can all be set on every single line item, even if it's the same product, line after line after line on a contract. Now, we can also manage from a single invoice both deferred and non-deferred items. You can have an item set up that's automatically deferrable. Example of a service contract, I sell the item, well, it's going to create a deferral schedule for me. The user does not have to be involved. They don't have to pay any attention to what's happening. It just happens in the background. And to add a little more strength, if you've got an item that's typically not deferrable, for that particular invoice, you can make it a deferred item and create a deferral schedule automatically in the background from that. Now, I've got a couple of minutes left here, and I want to talk just for the most part about this ASC 606. If you are selling items at all in groupings, if your salesmen are selling a free monitor with a computer setup, or if you're giving a discount, what this ASC 606 requirement is going to tell you is, sorry, you can't do that. It's not legal anymore, and you're going to be penalized if we catch you doing it when you file your financial statements. So what you do here is you look at the single window, very simple setup in our product. We say, what is the standalone sales price origin? You notice the blue arrow going over. It can be the base sales price. It can be the invoice price. It can be a percent of another item. Think of support for software. It could be a specific dollar amount. For example, my professional services might be $225 an hour, period. That's it. That's the price. Or it could be none. Now, if we take a look at the actual, hopefully I've just got a couple seconds here to do this for you. It'll take me about 60 seconds. I want to pop over and actually show you, this is NAV 2018. If I look at my department list, there's my contract that I set up. And I'm going to pick a particular contract just to show you in real life what happens here. So this is a contract that could have been created from an invoice, or I might have actually created the contract right here in this window from scratch. All these items were on the single invoice. They were all sold to a single customer. I'll get various prices, you'll notice, on the contract, but you'll also notice I have a discount of $1,000. Well, that's all well and good on the invoice that goes to the client. That's going to be clear to them. This is what the salesman told me, so this is what I expected to see. But on the books, it can't go that way. So if I pop over here to Actions, all the way to Revenue Allocation, there's my standalone selling price. This is what was on the contract. But you'll notice what goes on the income statement. A very different series of numbers, but they all add up to the net of the standalone prices on that invoice. This is in harmony now with ASC 606. Once you've set up the setup window, your salespeople, the clerk who enters the invoice, has nothing that they have to worry about, nothing that they have to do. So I wanted to give you a very brief picture of that. Obviously, in 10 minutes, it's not going to be enough time to show you everything. But if you have questions, there's our contact information. And thank you very much for your ear.
All right, and thank you, Don. Our next presenter is going to be Deibert from Serenic Software. So, David, I'm going to pass control to you.
So welcome. You can see everything fine. And welcome and thank you to MS Dynamics World for hosting this session. So I'm Dave Deibert. I'm one of the product managers at Serenic Software. I'm going to speak to you today about our Dynamics NAV product called NAV Payroll. First, I want to introduce you a little bit to Serenic, if you haven't seen us before. We've been the #1 payroll add-in for quite a while. We actually became an independent software vendor, ISV, back in 2001. We offer Navi Payroll plus some management solutions for mission-critical ERP software solutions for public service organizations as well. And you may have heard our product referred to in the past as Serenic HCM or Vision Payroll. And though we've been known by different names over the years, we've maintained the same core team all the way along. And today we remain the #1 payroll add-in for Dynamics NAV. So using an in-house payroll product like Navi Payroll, it offers more benefits than a traditional outsourced payroll. It's kind of surprising to some. There are 4 important facts that we'd like you to know about Navi Payroll. Firstly, we integrate intimately with Dynamics NAV. That includes cash management, GL, accounts payable, and jobs and resources. Your data, your secure data, gets to stay in the safe and familiar network that you are managing. Your admin costs will actually go down because we end up saving time, some of the time that is taken with integrations of other software programs and reporting tools that an outsourcer may bring to the table. You're using the same tools that you're used to with NAV. And you'll have anytime access to that data to view it how you want and when you need it the most. So it's 24/7 access. So the native NAV integration features I'd like to highlight, just like before, you'll be able to drill down to a transaction detail from anywhere in the audit trail. And most those who use NAV know how easy that is and get used to it fairly quickly. But now you can do that same thing with your payroll data. So example here, we've got the cash management module, we're in the bank account, we're looking at some posted entries, and we are navigating all the way back to all the payroll ledger entries that were created using that posting routine. So same posting engine, we're using a calculation engine and tying a lot of information into the base NAV products. So the benefits there is having less things to learn after implementation, tools you're already using, so you have faster access to the payroll data and using the tools that you're already used to. And that includes some of the third-party tools that NAV integrates with. Another integration point is the allocation by dimension. So payroll distribution is probably one of our more popular win-win items. So using NAV dimensions, which is a powerful tool, now you're using it with your payroll data for tracking all the way through to the GL. So this is much better than trying to jam external payroll data into your NAV GL. It may not be broken up in the way that you like. They have no idea what a NAV dimension is. So trying to get that subtotal correctly might be a bit of a lose-lose, or take time to do that. So you can also use Navi Payroll's work type code in this case, which is a way to distribute a payroll transaction while also summarizing it in the GL. So it lets you choose how you want to distribute. So in this screenshot, for example, we have hours entered in the orange at the top with 2 different departments. And when calculation occurs, the hourly pay is being also split out by those 2 departments. So 4 entries become 2 because there's 2 different departments. Same with Social Security. And this split can occur on any of these controls: deductions, income taxes, earnings, benefits, you name it. Every one of these lines can be split this way, so you get to pick. And then we also have the work type code, which I'm using to trigger things like premiums. Person gets a premium for office labor and manager type duties, except the department, it doesn't need to be split out by department. We can summarize that in the GL, that's fine. But we do need to get these other controls calculating. So I'm using a premium here in the middle, in the blue, and then a WCB office class code at the bottom. There's different WCB tax subjects for each of these work types. So that can be handled quite easily. So immediately after posting, the departments can benefit by having an instant visibility into how the payroll expenses directly affect them. And again, anytime access. So you'll be leveraging the full power of NAV filtering, reporting, and development tools also. So seen here with payroll data, we're looking at just the employees posted entries in this case, where we wanted to see 2 employees. So I've filtered on 2 different employees here, JR and AH. We wanted to see an income tax type pay control or transaction, and we can add more, posting dates, etc. Any of the fields that are available in the back end, just like in normal NAV filtering, you have access to all of that. So this becomes sort of an ad hoc creation tool because filtering is so flexible. And you can then now leverage some of the other NAV features that have been introduced by Microsoft over the years. That includes send to Excel, send to Word, capability with other third-party reporting tools. Ad hoc reporting becomes easy. Quick filter, send to Excel, and continue to manipulate the data if you need to for those one-offs, or maybe for people who don't have access to NAV or never use it. You can send those off in the email. So you're learning a lot less and doing more by bringing payroll to the same tool you're using on a regular basis. And the payroll processing cycle, it remains mostly the same. But whether you're you have an outsourced payroll provider, or you have the payroll software in-house, your staff are doing the heavy lifting. So an example here is 9 steps that are pretty common. There may be more, there may be less, but only 2 of these steps involve the outsourcer. They're clicking a button to calculate, which incurs in minutes in Navi Payroll. Same with printing the checks. These things happen in minutes. The bulk of the time is spent verifying, approving, integrating with the GL, distributing reports, emailing employees, or getting distributed to employees. That might be done in the outsourcer as well, depending on. But still, a lot of the time is being spent by the internal staff who's not going anywhere. Whether you switch from outsourced to in-house, it's the same staff. So at the end of the day, you may be saving time, which is money. Time is money. So if you're using a service provider, I bet you'll save a little bit less time than you think. So I guess the question is, why outsource only to save a few steps, yet miss out on some of the valuable flexibility and control that a NAV-based Navi Payroll can give you. So I'd like to challenge some of you to take a closer look at your process. Think about how much you actually do, and if you outsource, how much time are you really saving? And this is a customer comment or a partner comment. The cost savings and the processing time savings are the big hits. And this was from a partner saying Navi Payroll, once it's implemented, it's rock solid. It's like I set it and forget it. It looks and feels just like Microsoft Dynamics NAV. And the cost over time is important as well, because if you look at the two ends of the spectrum, we've got the entry-level end, the cookie-cutter program, off-the-shelf type program, and on the other spectrum, we've got the custom software that's fully customized. So the year-over-year costs with Navi Payroll are much more stable since there's no transaction fees. They're just not an issue. Complexity and flexibility can be limited sort of anywhere in the spectrum here, but typically on the left-hand side with the cookie-cutter stuff, not as flexible, might not fit into as many scenarios as you'd like it to. There's only a few configuration options. And there's a lot more options on the other end at the enterprise level, but potentially custom integration can get expensive and time-consuming with rollout. So when it comes to union, non-union, temps, salaried, hourly, or even piece-based workers, Serenic Navi Payroll is flexible and its comprehensive package still a very reasonable price point. And we had a customer actually in June. They volunteered some information for us. They went out shopping and they came back and said, hey, we're taking you guys and here's what we came up with. So they'd shopped with, I won't mention any letters or acronyms, but they shopped against some of the big service providers as well as some in-house software programs. And what they came back with, having 3 companies with about 500 employees with high turnover, so as low as 350, as high as 5, 8 different benefit packages, time and attendance. After they bundled everything that they needed, the Navi Payroll products came in still 35% less. So this is the NAV owner. They already own NAV. They weren't shopping for an ERP. They just wanted to bring payroll in-house, which involves time and attendance, benefits management, all these little pieces. And they add them up, and there they go. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, well, that's it. Anyways, so if you have any more questions, you can certainly give us a call, and we'll get more contact information at the end, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Amir from Solver. So Amir, I'm going to pass control to you.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let's just make sure everything's good to go. All right. Can you see my screen? I just want a verbal confirmation.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect. Welcome, everybody. My name is Amir Bassi. I'm a solutions engineer here at Solver, and we create a product called BI360, which has been on the market for about 8 years now. In the past year or so, we've primarily almost always been on premise, but starting as of last year, we've offered a cloud solution as well. And before I get into everything, I just wanted to talk about what we do. We're a corporate performance management software. So what that means is we offer reporting, budgeting, dashboarding, data warehousing for all of your Navision, as well as for those of you considering going to the cloud, D365 Business Central needs. And you can see that because we have a data warehouse here in this picture over here, we can bring in all sorts of different data types. So we have integrations to web services, payroll, Navision itself, of course, CRM, others, and cloud. And off of this, I'm going to show a little bit today about the reporting capabilities that we have, and if we have some time, high-level talk about the budgeting capabilities of the software. So for those of you looking for a nice new reporting tool or doing a lot of things in Excel, this would be perfect for you. All right, so this is me logged in. You can actually see I'm here in a web browser. Logged into BI360. You can use any device, phone or tablet to kind of get into the system as long as you have internet access. So, if you're at the airport and your boss emails you, I know that's kind of a nightmare, or you're trying to go on vacation somewhere and they say, hey, there's something big that's come up. Can you run this report and look at, something for me? You certainly can do that. Now, within this environment, all your reports, data is contained from NAV. You can see there's notifications, so if things are being shared, actions are occurring in this environment, you can see them here just like you would see a text message. Now let's just talk high level about the data warehouse. We have a relational database here. All that means is it's optimized for transactions. And I'm going to go over here to integrations, and what I'm going to show is that as a company, we try to be very agnostic as to what systems that you're on. Of course, we do support and have supported NAV for a long time, and we have all of these different connectors that allow us to expose your data and bring that in. But we also have some more generic ones like SQL, anything from a CSV file, and this is a marketplace that just continues to grow with more and more connectors. The end result looks something like this. You have a integration file that is able to be scheduled out. So if you want to pull in data from NAV, every single night or every couple of hours, or you want to run this on demand for your month-end close, you certainly can do that. You can hook your payroll system up to that, or bring in spreadsheets from a payroll system. And any sort of other operational CRM, Salesforce type of information you can bring in and have it all aggregated here in this warehouse. Okay. Now the nice thing about this is it all sits here, and I can go into any one of these things like account. I could see those charts of accounts, and I could build any sort of data structuring, roll-ups, and such in here. Now once I have my data in here, we can use a reporting tool. I'm just going to show you an example. This is, what something would look like if you had a full deployment. And we do come with a lot of these templates that I'm showing you here as a basis. But you can take your templates, categorize them so they're easy to find, or look them up by name. And I'm just going to open up one report here, a P&L. So this is an example of a report that was created in Excel using BI360, so we actually use Excel as the design experience. And you can see here that, if you're having trouble reporting on things, we make it very easy. You have a nice web browser here. A user who's designed this and is using this can toggle by different entities or departments, right, within the data that you brought in from Navision. So if I wanted to, I could rerun this for Canada, different time periods. And you can see here that all the design of this report really reflects the things that you like about Excel. So if you have charts and graphs, formulas, conditional formatting, just regular accounting format or numbering formats, we support all of that here. And the great thing is this is all connected to your data, right? So the idea is if I'm looking at my product revenue, for example, my year-to-date product revenue, I could right-click and I can see exactly where that $7.5 million number comes from. Do a drill down there. And I can see all of the transactions. And of course, if I do a more detailed drill down, I can see things like journal entries, batch numbers, etc. Now, interestingly enough, because you bring in data and we structure it in a way that makes it relational, and you have operational and such data all sitting in one place, you can also build your own custom drill down. One good example of that here is if I'm looking at my product revenue, I might want to build a drill down to my AR table here, and I can see exactly which customers and where they're located and how much they spent. Likewise, if I went down to my payroll accounts here and I wanted to get more detail, I could build a drill down to the payroll table and get some more information as to the employees and the monthly salaries and how much we're paying them. And finally, of course, if I go down, let's just say we're going over here to consulting, right? And I could go ahead and drill down to an accounts payable as well. So these drill downs not only help you analyze your data, right, but we can also build some nice, good reports like the ones that you're seeing here to get out. Now, the great thing about this too is I can go through and share these reports. I could also do what we call send these to the archive, right? So if I'm trying to put together some month-end reporting package, I could always send these to the archive. And what that does is it publishes those reports to this area over here. And I could take those reports, add them to what we call a playlist. And the idea is that those playlists, when I'm ready to show, I could just click on that playlist and hit show playlist. And I get a nice presentation style package where I can go through report by report. So if you spend any amount of time in, PowerPoint putting together reports, this is a good way for you to now present that data. And of course, those drill downs are there as well. All right. I'm going to show you one other thing. If we go into this, just a quick design of this report shouldn't take more than a minute or two here. But if I go into live reporting, here's an example of a report that we can design out. I'm just going to hit edit, and you're going to see here that it's going to actually go and launch Excel. So I did mention before that Excel is the design experience that we use. Okay, and this is what things look like from the perspective of a designer. So you can see I'm in Excel. There's a BI360 reporting tab. We have access to all the different data sets from your warehouse, and you can go into this, and if you wanted to quickly iterate a report, you can see I have the account description. Let's bring in account category, maybe some custom roll-ups that were built, and then I already have a column in here, but I can just go ahead, copy and paste it, and say that for this column, I want to see things from last year to date. Okay, and we'll make this one red for you so you can tell the difference. And, you know, we drag in fields, so no sort of coding or anything required in terms of knowledge. And once you're ready, you just go to run. You can pick a time period. In this case, I've also allowed you to use a tree picker. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick the Asia region here and hit run. And you'll notice that, you know, this is going to go and basically get me a nice consolidated report where I can see my Asia region trial balance over here, this year, year to date versus last year to date there, and break that out for corporate Asia all the way down to EMEA. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Actually, I'm going to go back to design, save that. That goes back into my web browser, and I could publish this out for other folks to use. All right, and looking at the time, you know, you can keep us in mind if you have your budgeting needs. I know we didn't talk about that today. We do have workflow and budgeting, but all of the reporting capabilities that you see today are available to you, and we really try to make life easier for you in terms of designing and deploying reports. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Amir. And well, let me just say a quick thank you to all 5 of our presenters. It's so much fun for me to sort of sit back and watch all these various solutions to very common and very important problems. And I've just really personally been enjoying. We've been doing these sessions with a focus on various Dynamics products, and it's just been a lot of fun to be able to observe all of it. So thank you again to all of you. I do want to move on now in the time we have left to do some Q&A. So if you have questions that you're holding on to, please enter them into the Q&A block next to the presentation window here, and we'll get to as many as we have time for. And I'm just looking at my screen to try to progress it. I seem to be hung up a little bit, so hopefully people are at least seeing the presentation screen. I apologize, but I don't seem to be able to move it forward to the screen with the contact information. We will be following up with everyone, though, with follow-up and contact information for all of our presenters soon after today's event, so you will get that information. But let's move on to Q&A. So the first question I have here is for the Columbus presenters, asking about, with the Columbus Food Solution and NAV, do you offer catch weight and dual unit of measure, units of measure?
Thank you for the question. This is Chris Minelli again. Yes, we do. We offer catch weight. So in base NAV, there's a base unit of measure. With Columbus, we do that catch weighting, which is so important with food quite often. So you can have the item set up. It can be, for as an example, a case, and the alternate unit of measure can be pound. And as production rolls through, each case can have its own individual weight based on what the scale tells us. Or it can be set as a standard weight for analysis as well.
All right, thank you. A question for Aaron from Lucy. Well, actually, I'll kind of sneak in 2 here. So first, just a very quick one. What's the website for Lucy?
It's actually letlucy.com, so letlucy.com.
All right, great. And the other question is just asking, does Lucy accept formats other than PDF?
No. Look, there's actually a really good reason for that. To be honest, it's we did look around at other formats and looked at things like getting scans from customers and faxes and things of that nature, and OCR technology is just not quite there yet as far as accuracy. So we stick to machine-generated PDFs because we'd rather get 90% of your orders in with 100% accuracy than 95% in with 95% accuracy.
All right. A question for Don Ramsey from Binary Stream. Don, someone wants to know if they can import their existing schedules and contracts.
Yes, they can import usage data, set up details for the contract product, as well as existing contracts, and they can even dictate which part of those contracts have been recognized already or invoiced already, and what's still left to go.
All right, great. Question for David Deibert at Serenic Software. So someone wants to know how many other companies are already using this solution.
There are approximately just under 600 active end users servicing thousands of employees right at the moment.
All right, thank you. And Amir, we have a question that I'd like to pose to you and then probably open up to everyone else. And as I may also make a final call for questions from the audience, if you have anything else you're holding on to, please do ask it now. But Amir, someone's just asking about what are your licensing models?
Yep. So licensing is name licensing, and it depends on exactly what you want. So some folks only want reporting, some people want just budgeting, some people want a mix of both, and then dashboarding component is also a separate feature. So if you have pricing information, you could talk to me about it, and you can go from there.
All right, great. If I could just maybe go back to all of our other panelists and see if you're able and willing to answer that same question. So, Colin or Chris from Columbus, is that something you can take? Colin?
Hey, Jason, the question was on licensing, just so I'm clear.
Yeah, can you explain your licensing model, essentially?
Yeah, so licensing model very closely follows NAV. So we have a subscription and a perpetual model that both follow based on the modules that you purchase. So it's very straightforward. If you're used to Dynamics licensing or Business Central licensing, it'll mirror that same process.
All right, great. Aaron from Lucy, can you take that one?
Yeah, of course. It's a pretty typical SaaS usage model for the orders that are being integrated into Dynamics, but we're pretty transparent with it. We've actually got our pricing on our website, and you can also start a 30-day free trial there too.
All right, very good. Don Ramsey.
I remember that mute button. Sorry.
Yep, we hear you.
Yes. For NAV, we do have a cloud pricing module based on named users, that type of thing. We also have an on-prem for NAV 2017, NAV 2018, where again it's named users, and that's basically it. So if you're using ARC-B, it's one price. ARC-B and ARED's another price. ARC-B, ARED, and ASC 606 compliance is another price. So you get to pick and choose what you need.
All right, wonderful. And David from Serenic Software, would you care to take this one?
Yeah, sure. We are actually employee tier pricing, so you'd be using employees in the closest tier you have, 1 to 100, every 250, every group of 250, and then we also have a subscription model which is similar, and we'll be moving towards the actual employee counts as the Business Central and extension models evolve. It'll be more actual pricing of actual employees used.
All right, very good. Well, I want to thank all of our presenters today for taking the time to share their solutions with us, and to all of you in the audience for your time and your attention today as well. Much appreciated. Glad you could be with us. With that, we are going to wrap things up. Have a great day, everybody.